Hi everyone, thanks for coming back for the next episode of my Brain Tumour Diaries, in which I will talk about the books that I've read after I received the diagnosis back in February. Like I've already explained, it was a huge shock for me to receive the brain tumour diagnosis, but I suppose I like to call myself a problem solver, so I looked at it as another challenge in my life. I will tell you more about my life later. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I was like, it's a terrible shock, but I'm not going to stop living, so I need to find a solution to make my life better. So what I did, after I received the diagnosis in the hospital, I cycled home. I was like in complete shock, and I went on the internet to do a basic search about brain tumors or the things that I noted down during the meeting with the doctor. And clearly I came across the worst possible news. I thought that my tumor was a glioblastoma, which is probably the worst kind of tumor that you can have. If you have a glioblastoma, your prognosis is not very good. I had no idea what my kind of tumor was. The only thing I saw on the paper was glioma. So I put that into the Google search engine, and the result that came back was glioblastoma. So I was reading about it. The prognosis was like 6 months to a year. I was in absolute shock. I had no idea what I was up against. I was completely depressed by the end of the day. Anyhow, I decided I would look for some books or publications or anything to read a bit more about brain tumors, and I found a couple of books that really helped me, although at this point I still had no idea what kind of tumor I had. It is worth noting that there are about 130, 140 different types of brain tumors, and it completely differs by which portion of the brain it is, what kind of shape it is, etc. So if you have a brain tumor and it's called oligodendroglioma, but if it's not in the same part as my tumor is in, or if it is bigger or smaller, or you are younger or older, I mean, there are so many variables that can change your prognosis and everything else, that I came to the conclusion that it's completely pointless to even ask for a prognosis from the doctor. My opinion is the doctor is not a future teller, and I haven't got a clue what the future holds. They might be able to tell me, yeah, you've got an oligodendroglioma, and this is worse or better than other types of tumor. We can operate or we cannot operate, and then that's it, to be honest, because how are they going to tell you, oh, well, you will live 2 years, 3 months and 5 weeks? I mean, that's just not how it works. They might say something silly like, oh, you will live between 1 and 10 years. Oh, really? Thank you very much. That's really useful to tell me. You could have also told me I might live between 2 and 25 years. I mean, who knows? The best thing is just forget about the prognosis or anything else and try and improve the quality of your life. So that's exactly what I did. The Tuesday morning, I decided I needed to look for some books to read to find out about other people's experiences. And one of the first books I came across was titled Brain Tumors, Living Low Grade by Gideon Burrows. Well, I hope I pronounced his name correctly. I have no idea how to pronounce it, but he is a guy from England. He used to cycle, he used to write about various things. He was a freelance journalist or freelance writer, and then all of a sudden he was also diagnosed with a brain tumor around the age of 35 or 40, I can't remember exactly. It was a huge shock to him, and it turned out that his brain tumor was also a low-grade brain tumor, so that's why he decided to write about his experiences and how he came to terms with the fact that he's got a brain tumor and he's gonna have to live with it. Now that book really helped me a lot. So I read the book. He explained that there are so many different types of tumors: low grade, high grade, operable, inoperable, astrocytoma, glioma, oligodendroglioma, meningioma. I mean, many types of tumors. That really opened my eye to this whole world of brain tumors, after which I guess I felt a bit more secure in my situation, because I could basically hope that maybe my kind of tumour is a low-grade tumour, which is much better than a high-grade tumour. He also talked about travel insurance, how to get one, how much it might cost, and the different types of insurance providers, etc. He also mentioned his experience with leaving his work and how he regretted it, because when he received his brain tumor diagnosis, he also thought that that was it, he will live another 6 months and then drop dead. He had no idea that there were different types of tumors and prognosis, whatever. So his first decision was to resign from his job, give up all his freelance contracts and everything else, and dedicate all his life to his children. He came to realize that wasn't the best decision to make, because first of all, a few months later he realized that he wasn't going to imminently die, so he needed an income. So that really made me realize that I shouldn't quit my job just now. Instead, I should wait and see what the future holds. I had no symptoms, nothing, so I basically forced myself to work. I'm not saying I enjoyed working or that I wanted to work, but I needed the money and I needed something to focus on, because if I had stayed at home thinking all day about my tumor, I would have probably gone crazy. It was very difficult to work and to focus on the job, to talk to my contacts and colleagues and go to work, get up in the morning, etc. But I was like, if that's what I need to do to survive, then that's what I'm going to do. Now this lasted for a few months, maybe 3 or 4 months after diagnosis, at which point I said, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to work anymore. So I took a few weeks off work on a sabbatical. If the operation goes well, I will go back to work at some point. If it doesn't go well, then I'll just have to deal with that situation at the time of knowing what my situation is. Basically, it's a bit tough, but I can't do anything about it. Another book that really helped me was titled Living with Timmy by Paul J. Corhonen, a guy that lives up in North England. He had a different type of tumor. I can't remember what type of tumor exactly. He was in his 50s or 60s. They operated him, and why he titled the book Living with Timmy is because they cannot remove 100% of the tumor, so there is always something remaining in your brain which can grow into a bigger tumor in the future. Even if they operate you, there will always remain some of the tumor in the brain, which will at some point in the future regrow. This point in the future might be later or sooner, nobody knows. That's why it is completely pointless to ask for a prognosis, because no doctor in the planet will be able to tell you, yes, your tumor will start to regrow on the 2nd of July 2023. I mean, that's impossible. They might just be guessing, so why even ask a silly question when you might as well ask them, oh, by the way, if I buy a lottery ticket, am I going to win tomorrow? They might as well give you the numbers and you might win. So it's an absolutely pointless question to ask about prognosis. Don't even look at it, because it is just going to upset you. So why would you want to know how many years you have left once you know that you have an illness that's curable or incurable? It is just absolutely pointless. I never even asked for it. Okay, I'm lying. The day I received the diagnosis, I asked the nurse, am I going to die? And she said she doesn't know. At least she was honest. I mean, we are all going to die, so it was a completely stupid question, but some of us will die sooner than the others. So consider yourself fortunate if you haven't got the cancer or brain tumor or anything, because this whole huge worry is not hanging over your head. Anyhow, another book I was reading is this, The Metabolic Approach to Cancer by Dr. Nasha Winters. I'm still reading it, it's quite interesting. It is explaining how our diet can influence the growth of cancer and our survival rates. Now, another book which I received for free from the Brains Trust is titled The Brain Book, and this is mega helpful if you've just been diagnosed and you don't have a clue what is going to happen or who is who, what to do, who to ask questions. Then this book will explain everything. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Just go on the Brains Trust website or Google Brains Trust My Brain book, and then you can have a look at it online and they will explain what it is all about. Finally, there are 2 books, self-help books, that I read before my brain tumor diagnosis, but I completely believe that they helped me come to terms with my diagnosis and cope much better than other people that were diagnosed with a brain tumor. Number 1 is Dale Carnegie's How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, and the other one is I Am Okay, You Are Okay by Thomas A. Harris. These are 2 self-help books explaining how to stop worrying and change your perspective on life to be a bit more positive and not always see the worst outcome in every kind of situation. I definitely recommend reading these 2 books if nothing else, and also one of those 2 brain tumor books. I'm sure there are 100 other books on the internet or on Amazon or just about anywhere you look, because brain tumors are so widespread now, unfortunately, that more and more people talk about it. But thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe or comment and tell me what you think about these videos.